Welcome to this podcast episode in which we'll be looking at the topic of meaningful business. My name is Dr. Alex Altersky from the School for Business and Society at the University of York. A warm welcome to my guests, Leanne Shaw, Operations Manager, and Holly Hennell, Director on the Board of York Cares. Welcome.
Morning.
Good morning.
So, firstly, could you tell me a little bit about yourselves and York Cares, please?
Yep, certainly. So York Cares is a social action charity. We are now in our 21st year of operation, working with employers and communities, essentially to make York a better place. So originally, York Cares was a franchise of business in the community, which is all about responsible business. Started with 3 employer members and now working with around 30 in the city, and ensuring that those employers can make a strategic investment into the community.
Mm-hmm. And we do that by offering 3 core programs of delivery. So our largest is through the Environment and Sustainability Program, where our employee volunteers can make a difference in local parks and green spaces across the city, completing team challenges to really maintain and renovate some of those areas. We also have our Aspirations programme, where we have traditionally worked with children and young people to raise their awareness of jobs in the city and how they might be able to obtain those. And we've also recently branched out to be able to support adults who are out of work, again, to raise their aspirations and their understanding of what employment in the city looks like. And finally, we have our Social Connections programme, where we work with older, more isolated residents and use our volunteers to be able to bring those adults together and develop friendships and community within the city. Alongside those 3 programmes, we also have our collection campaigns that take place across the year. Recently, we've collected 1,100 Easter eggs and distributed those across charities and the hospital in the city. And we also have other collections that run through the year, including our big Christmas collection at the end.
Brilliant. Wow. Doing so much. And me being from York originally and really connected to York, it's just I'm just in awe really of all the things that you're doing here. If we get onto the topic of meaningful business then, I mean, one of the topics that has been quite important in the events and other activities taking place in our Meaningful Business Network has been the focus on how a business is connected to its community and can help deliver community and social value. I think there's big links between this theme and what York Cares delivers. Could you maybe tell me a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've really hit the nail on the head there. It is very much about how we can work with employers in the city and how we can ensure that they can invest in the communities where they're based. So obviously for the employers that we're working with, they're all York based. They may well have national headquarters elsewhere, but they're based in York. They have staff in York, staff who will live in the city, maybe outside of the city, but obviously working in the city, and working with them to ensure that kind of they as an organisation and their employees can make a difference in the communities in which they operate, and how they can feel connected to those communities and how they can collaborate with other organisations and the communities around them, really around social value and ensuring that we're maximising the impact that those employers can have, and working really collaboratively with community organisations and bringing them together with private sector organisations to ensure that we can make York the best place that it can be.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, that really connects to the research that's done on meaningful work about when people are doing work where they feel they're connected to the community and feel that they're able to help it makes their work more meaningful. So, no, it's fantastic. So these ideas of meaningful business, I suppose, connect to the activities of York Cares in a number of ways. So you've got for instance, with volunteering.
So that's our main route, really. So we work with the employers in the city, and we provide volunteering opportunities for employees at those organisations to enable them to have an impact in the community. And the programmes that we've developed have really been designed looking at what the areas of need are in the city. So we work very closely with the City of York Council to look at kind of what is the need and how can we address that. It's not about us saying we think we need to do X, Y, or Z. It's very much needs driven and comes from a place of kind of what does the community need and how can we best support that through our employers and enable their employees to engage in those activities through volunteering.
That's brilliant, sort of understanding the need in a way, because I think, I mean, obviously, a local business is very often very well connected with local needs, but it could be that they're not aware of all the community needs and local needs, if that makes sense. And so, you've got that kind of gateway where you can kind of advise, and you're working with the council as well, to kind of do that, and it almost helps connect the economy and the community of York in a way. So, yeah, fantastic. So, I mean, looking at an actual example then, can you give me an example of a time or an event how York Cares have facilitated meaningful business in the way that you've just described?
So many to choose from. It's
Yeah,
really difficult to
yeah,
pick
yeah.
one, but I think probably a really great example is our big community challenge. So that's an activity that we run on an annual basis, and it's very much a partnership project. We work in partnership with the Environment and Communities team at the City of York Council, and also with St Nick's, the environment charity. And it's really about how we address environmental and sustainability issues in the city, and how we can make a sustainable difference, and working with our employers and bringing our employers together. So often for opportunities, we'll have employers who will go out and they'll do something as an individual employer, but for the big community challenge, we bring our employers together. And so it's about that kind of collaborative action and how that resource can really enhance what's happening in the city in green spaces. So we do that on an annual basis. Initially, we used to do it over a week. We now do it over 4 weeks, because we can have more impact in that way. And that's really kind of a hangover from COVID, when it was difficult, obviously, to bring people together. We spread it out over a period of time so that we could enable kind of the same volume of people to be involved, but in a safe way. But when we did that, we realised actually the impact that we could have over that longer period was much greater. So we've continued with that model, and we will get over 500 volunteers over that period coming together to make a transformational change in the city. We've done a number of different kind of areas in the city. So we've gone round and north, south, east, west, looking at different things and thinking about the kind of the Green Corridors York project and connecting those employers into spaces, which also then has kind of a longer term impact, because often those employers will then go back to those spaces and really kind of establish those relationships and make those connections. So a really great example is North Street Gardens opposite Aviva. So that was part of a big community challenge a couple of years ago, and we've now got regular groups of volunteers from Aviva going into North Street Gardens, ensuring that that space is maintained and kind of taking on the responsibility to make that a safe and welcoming space. And we see that in lots of places. Greenfields Community Garden is another one where we've got employees from Nestle who've established a really great working relationship with the gardens. It's based right next door, so it's a really easy opportunity for their staff to be able to go, and also for them to engage with the community. So it's a community garden. They're engaging with residents, with the local community, and starting to feel more embedded in that area. And I think that's the kind of the really important bit, how we kind of operate at a place-based level and connect with our direct communities, which then obviously has an influence across the city.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that what you're doing is kind of helping develop that meaning for businesses, because the key to meaningful business is not kind of, okay, well, let's just do a day of volunteering a year and we've got a meaningful business. It's okay, we're doing volunteering, but then what comes after that? How can we kind of carry on and make a difference in that way? And obviously, because those employees or individuals or companies are carrying on, then they're obviously sensing that there's meaning in it, if that makes sense.
And it is the sustained impact, I think. And often we'll find that, an organisation might get involved and they might start off with a day of volunteering. That's maybe how the relationship starts. But then during that day, they start to develop the relationships with that community organisation, and then they want to go back because they feel more invested. And I think the great thing, particularly about our environment and sustainability programme, is it's really tangible and you can see. So employers will go and do things in the city that they then might walk past on a daily basis, and they have that connection with that space because they've been there and they feel like they've made a difference. So we did quite a bit of work with St Nick's on the bar walls, on the Walls in Bloom project, and I know there's a lot of kind of employees who work around there and were involved in that project, and now on a daily basis maybe pass that on their way to work and get to see, I helped to do that. I was really invested in that, and then that kind of that it spreads and there's momentum because they then probably talk to other colleagues, and it's a bit of a snowball effect, really.
They're getting that meaning reinforced every time they walk past it, aren't they? Really. So yeah, it's fantastic. So you've talked a bit about one example. Can I go to your focus on your aspirations program, please? Can you tell us a bit about that, please?
Yeah, definitely. So as I said, traditionally this has been predominantly working with children and young people in schools, but we've recently been able to branch out to start working with adults who are out of work, particularly those that have experienced mental ill health, which has caused them challenge either in staying in roles or be able to secure new roles. And what we've been doing over the last few months is delivering a programme of workshops by employee volunteers that can cover things like applying for jobs, succeeding interview, and the key for the individuals that are attending is hearing from actual employers that have got, that can give advice on actually what are we looking for at job interviews. Now, many of the individuals that we're working with have been out of work for 10 plus years, so being able to feel like they're hearing from actual business people and knowing what they're looking for is really beneficial, and particularly so when we have employee volunteers who have experienced career setbacks themselves. It makes such a difference to those individuals attending, where they can hear from people where perhaps 10, 15 years ago they were in a similar position. And they can say, actually, this is what I tried. These are employers that were really warm and caring and compassionate towards me, and they've given me an opportunity to be able to succeed in the workplace. We are hoping to be able to start offering work experience opportunities to the individuals that are coming through. So in addition to employee volunteers being able to deliver the workshops and raise aspirations and confidence in the individuals that we're working with, moving towards being able to offer them some forms of work experience or perhaps trial shifts, so that those individuals can really move closer to the workplace. And I'm really pleased that over the last few weeks we've had a really consistent group of individuals attending, and some of those are now securing interviews and applying for roles, and it's been so wonderful to see, over those 4 short weeks of workshops they've been attending, the way that their confidence has developed. They're now supporting each other at putting together job applications, and as I said, attending interviews, which for some of these individuals who've been out of work for quite a significant amount of time is a really positive demonstration of the impact that our employee volunteers can make in this area.
Brilliant. And I think it's, those individuals, obviously they're working hard to kind of get back into the workplace, and they're being supported by yourselves and these employee individuals and companies. And I think, the real beauty of it is that those individuals will be, really focused, really loyal, and they'll really want to make that difference, when they get back into the workplace. And it's helping the community of York in general, and, with those people as well. So, no, it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So going on then, in terms of the context of York Cares, in what ways do you think your hopes and experiences of meaningful business could be more widely shared or practiced going forward?
So I think that some of the things that are really helpful to think about are that meaningful business really works best when social action is built into everyday business culture. So as you said, it isn't just one volunteering day ticks everything. I think it's making sure that it's, it runs through leadership, staff development and wider business priorities. And we hope that the programme that we offer actually really ties into what businesses are hoping to achieve through their social impact. And as Holly has mentioned so far, I think York Cares really demonstrates that businesses can create greater impact when they work together collectively rather than one organisation trying to make a difference on their own. I think it's really clear that the shared impact that having businesses working together through our model is far greater than the sum of the individual parts of employers taking part. The more people that we have involved, the greater and more significant impact they can make together.
Brilliant. It sounds like you're kind of like part of the glue that is gluing together the business community and looking at these issues and understanding them and getting and getting people engaged in these types of issues.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, obviously we're now in our 21st year. So there's evidence that it is making a difference. We're still going. We've still got employers who want to engage, and we're providing that mechanism to enable them to be able to kind of make that impact. And definitely, I think it's the collaboration and the coming together. And as Leanne mentioned, we can do far more together than we can individually. And how do we kind of grow that, I guess, is probably the aspiration. Where do we go from here? We've got around 30 employers in membership, but how do we get every employer in York involved in something so that they're all doing something? And there will be employers who are doing absolutely their own thing, and that's absolutely fine. But how can we ensure that we're joining some of that up and connecting those things together? Because through doing that, we can definitely have more impact. I mean, and I've been involved with York Care since around 2009, so not long after it started. And when I started, we were working with maybe 4 or 5 employers, and we've now got over 30 involved. And that kind of being able to see kind of how growing the membership base and how bringing more employers on board and enabling them to work together and making impact is really kind of, it's been great to sort of see that progression and see how employers are kind of engaging. And I think there's so much more emphasis now on having a place focused approach and ensuring that we connect. And absolutely what you said around, employees wanting that as well, like employees want to see that their employer is doing something in the local community. They want to feel that it aligns with their own values. And I think more of us today are more socially conscious and want to be able to kind of make those differences. And we're hopefully kind of enabling and facilitating employers to be able to provide a way for their employees to be able to do that effectively.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and I think with the younger generation, I'm seeing it. Okay, they need to get a job that pays the bills, but also they're very, I won't work for them. They'll say that, kind of, and I mean, I'm getting on a bit now, but I think, when I left uni, it was kind of whatever job I can get, I'm gonna do it, if that makes sense. I think that's different now, really.
Absolutely. I think people are making conscious choices about which employers they want to work for, and they want to work for employers that have really strong social values at their heart. And, the more we can enhance that, then the better, really.
Well, I think you're doing a fantastic job already. So how can let's say a business is listening to this, how can they get involved?
Yeah, if they'd like to get in touch with us, that'd be really helpful. So we can have a bit of a chat and find out more about how they're working, what they're all about, and look at how we can work together. So obviously they're welcome to take a look on our website, or if they email info@yorkcares.co.uk, then I'll have a conversation, a chat with them and see how we could work together.
And I think it's really important to say that we're not prescriptive with employers around how they engage with our activities. So we obviously offer a programme of activities that we've developed looking at what the needs are, but we recognise that each employer might have its own ambitions around social value, its own agenda, and we will work with them to ensure that we can tailor what they're doing through our programs to enable them to do that, because some employers maybe want to focus on one particular thing, so they might want to focus on the aspirations program because they've got a strong alignment with education, or they might want to focus on our environment and sustainability program because they've got really strong green ambitions, or they might want to do a bit of everything, and that's absolutely fine. We will work with them to ensure that we can build a program for them that kind of works for them and for their employees. And that is really important as well, about kind of the agency of the employees and what they want to do, because essentially, they're the boots on the ground. They're the people that will go out and do the volunteering, and it's got to mean something to them as well.
Definitely. I mean, that is the key point. Meaning means different things to different companies and different people, isn't it? And basically, you will work hard if you are working on something that means something to you. So basically, understanding that meaning is key, isn't it, really? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming and speaking to us today. Thanks for your incredibly valuable insights on meaningful business, Leanne and Holly. The things you've been talking about are so important. important. I wish you best of luck with all of your future plans and York Care's future plans. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Until next time.